Open Your Eyes is brought to you by the Belize Bank. Our country, your bank.
Welcome to Open Your Eyes.
Start your morning right.
I'm Marlene Cuellar.
And I'm Gavin Courtney.
And thank you for joining us this morning.
It's a beautiful Tuesday morning. 2nd of March. We didn't get to start the show with you guys yesterday. Start the month, sorry.
Start the month, yeah.
Yeah.
It's the day before elections.
I know. It's super exciting.
Does not feel like it at all.
I know. It's like, you know, when we think about the previous elections that we've had, especially like for the city council and stuff, we're used to a lot more noise, a lot more, you know, banners and stuff around town. But, you know, this is what we said, you know, when we had the general election back in November, that, you know, definitely things are changing or have changed.
All right. Well, we got to check in on our weather to find out what we're expecting for today and into tomorrow. So we're going to just go ahead and read our prepared forecast for today. The general situation is for generally fair conditions that will continue to dominate.
And our...
Oh, we did get the forecaster on the line. Good morning.
Hello, good morning.
How are you, Ms. Cumberbatch?
I am right here.
Oh, it's good to hear you. We haven't heard this voice in a long time.
That's how it is sometimes. We appear and then we disappear and then we reappear back again.
Yeah, like weather. All right, so we were just getting our forecast started. So can you tell us about our 24-hour forecast?
Okay, yes. As you know, we have been experiencing some windy conditions over the past few days, but now that windy condition is subsiding, and what we're looking for the next few days is general fair weather to prevail. And in the next 24 hours, you can expect that the skies to remain mostly sunny and high temperatures today. We expect to be 88 degrees Fahrenheit along the coast, 93 inland, and 78 in the higher elevation. For the night, sky conditions will be partly cloudy, and the temperatures for tonight we expect to drop to 78 degrees Fahrenheit along the coast, 70 inland, and 66 in the hills. Shower activity will be isolated. As pertains to the winds will blow from the east at 10 to 20 knots, and the sea state will be moderate to rough. And I guess you also want to hear about the tides. We expect, a low tide is in the process right now, which started at 40 minutes past 6. And then we have a high tide comes up at 6 minutes past midday, followed by a low at 12 minutes to 7 this evening, and then a high at 12:54 in the morning. The moon set at 8:44 this morning and comes up again at 9:33 tonight. And when you look for the outlook for Wednesday, or rather for election day, it's mainly fair weather to prevail with little or no rainfall.
So it should be a dry day for election across the country, right?
A little or no rainfall. Yeah. And we also have our fire forecast that during this time of the year that we usually do, and according to the satellite imagery that we have viewed this morning, it shows that over the past 24 hours, we had a couple of hotspots of fires across the country. So the risk for forest fire remains moderate. And my dear, that's the forecast for today.
All right.
Well, thank you so much for that.
You're welcome. Have a great day. Stay safe.
You have a great day too.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
There you have it. So we have good weather for today and tomorrow. Very important for tomorrow as well, so people won't be deterred by rain, even though there is little chance of rainfall. So that sounds like maybe a sprinkle. Maybe.
Yeah, a little bit, but not enough to prevent you from going to the polls. So please go out and vote tomorrow. Exercise your right if you're living in one of the major municipalities. And we'll also be giving you coverage live on the day.
All right, our municipal elections coverage starts at 6 a.m. tomorrow. And of course, we have our correspondents who are going to be across the country in each of the municipalities, delivering to you the up-to-date reports as the day unfolds. So do set your alarm. We'll be starting just a little bit earlier, and we're going to be looking at some of the data, some of the trends from past elections, and some of the critical issues as we see what people decide when they head to the ballots tomorrow. All right. We got to keep things moving. We got our eye opener for this morning, which means it's time for our update from dailyom.com. And it goes like this. Many people live their lives struggling against the current, while others use the flow like a mighty wind. The flow of the universe moves through everything. It's in the rocks that form, get pounded into dust, and are blown away. The sprouting of a summer flower born from a seed planted in the spring, the growth cycle that every human being goes through, and the current that takes us down our life's path. When we move with the flow, rather than resisting it, we are riding on the universal current that allows us to flow with life. Riding the flow of the universe can be effortless, exhilarating, and not like anything that you ever expected. When you're open to being in this flow, you open yourself to possibilities that exist beyond the grasp of your control. As a child, you were naturally swept by the flow. Tears of sadness falling down your face could just as quickly turn to tears of laughter. Just the tiniest wave carrying you forward off the shores of the ocean could carry you into peals of delight. Our souls feel good when we go with the flow of the universe. All we have to do is make the choice to ride its currents.
And that's an interesting eye-opener. And I think that it's one that probably we can all relate to, because at times we want to feel like we're in control of everything, or we want to control everything. Sometimes I'm like that too, as well.
We all are.
Yeah. So remembering to sit back and try to go with the flow, or at least not try to be in so control of everything, will definitely help you and increase, because I find that one of the examples that I'm thinking about is back when I was in school, when I was in law school, and they would be teaching us advocacy training, and they'd be teaching us how to cross-examine people. And of course, everybody has, different methods or whatever, but what a lot of people do when they're just starting is that they'll write down a list of questions and, and then they'll assume that, they're going to get exactly what answer they get from the first one. So then it leads into the other one, leads into the other. But of course, it never, ever happens like that. People are people. You can't predict what anybody's going to say. You can't read anybody's mind. Yeah. So you have to sort of learn to go. So that's a skill that you have to sort of learn to go with that sort of flow. Because if you want somebody to say A and then they say B, you can't just panic and then the whole thing is ruined and then you run away. You have to,
Yeah.
So part of it is applying what sort of your knowledge is, or your skills or your talents that you have to a given situation, but it also, you can't control everything, so you have to also learn to work with what the universe gives you, and that's what I think this eye-opener is talking about.
Absolutely. It is interesting. I think that, I'm on the fence when you talk about just generally going with the flow, because there are times where you have to swim upstream. There are times where it's necessary that perhaps you be the one who's struggling against it. It is what it is. But it's not all the time, and you don't need to be fighting every single step along the way. Fighting to regain that control, fighting for things to go your way, fighting for things to be of a particular circumstance. So I think while there is always that time where we can say, it's time to stand against that current, the majority of the times, you can just be able to ride the waves along the way. Sometimes it's with the growth of your children, It's recognizing they're going to have these changes along the way, changes in patterns. you have to do what you have to do as a parent, but it also means that you also have to relax just a bit, not control them all the time. And it happens in so many other circumstances. Sometimes it's what's happening in wider society. It can be what's happening in your workplace, or just the ebbs and flow of how even your patterns within your family are. So yeah, I think it's letting go of that need to control all the time, but just with a little caveat that sometimes you kind of need to stand up. I think that makes me more comfortable if I say that. Yeah.
No, for sure. And I think another thing that I was going back to, actually, once I brought up school, all sorts of things started running through my mind. And I also think that what this thing is talking about, I also learned a bit of in music as well, particularly when it comes to performing with other people, because that is when you really do have to sort of go with the flow.
Talk about harmony, right?
Yeah, exactly. Harmony, and then, you know, getting everybody to follow the same rhythm and everything. And so it could be something that you and, you know, people, it could be no matter if it's just you and one person or you and a big group of people, you could have rehearsed it, you know, thousands of times, but, you know, each rehearsal is going to be different, and each performance is going to be different, you know, just because, again, we're human.
Yeah.
So it's just like learning to go with that sort of flow. And then sometimes, of course, you know, somebody plays a wrong note, somebody comes in late, somebody comes in early, something. But you can't, again, panic and let that just destroy everything. And you have to go with it. And, you know, the show must go on, as they say.
That's right. Okay, so that's our eye-opener for this morning. And we got to get moving into our show. Today is the last of our Meet the Candidates segment. But before we talk about that, it's hard to miss that there were some big things that happened yesterday.
Yeah, absolutely. So, as you know, Belize has finally received the first few thousand doses of the COVID-19 vaccine. And yesterday, we actually got to see the first 3 vaccines being administered. And that, for me, was a very, it was a huge deal for me. I was really excited, and it's pretty momentous considering what all that symbolizes. And knowing that more vaccines are on the way, it's really encouraging after all that has happened in the past, you know, year exactly, more or less, since we're in March again.
Yeah, it definitely, you know, when you look back, and we're about a month away from looking at 1 year since we detected our first case. But when you look back, these are such pivotal moments. I think I said, you know, when the vaccines landed, I felt that sense of joy yesterday as well. And even more so because we've actually talked with Casilda Bowman and Dr. Eric Bradley on the show. Nurse Bowman was, in fact, she's been working in the COVID unit for a long time, and she had COVID very early on, and she spoke of the harrowing experience of, you know, the ups and downs of symptoms. So knowing, and she went right back after she recovered back into the COVID unit, and of course we know now that there is always the possibility of reinfection. So knowing the work she's put in, and knowing that she's one of the first people being vaccinated really made me happy. As well as Dr. Bradley, who has been working in the COVID unit as well. He has been with us on the show when we talked about just some of the people who did survive, the people they worked with in the intensive care unit at KHMH, who they work so diligently with to be able to help them to recover from the disease. And here he is getting his first shot, so he can be protected to continue to provide that level of care. And Dr. Koye, well, I think he's a well-known physician in the country, and definitely we know that when our healthcare workers are protected, we can be able to ensure that we do have care in the future. But the moment itself, whether it was a doctor, a nurse, an attendant, a politician, for me, it just signifies that we're moving into what is eventually going to be the end phase of this process. That's the hope at this point.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that it's really exciting. And I, too, also thought that it was pretty, I suppose, moving to see that the first persons to receive the vaccine were the first responders, really, especially the nurse Bowman and Dr. Bradley, who work in and out, day in, day out, in the COVID unit. And of course, if you were following the news yesterday, you'd also know that the rollout of the vaccine is going to go in phases. And of course, the first phase is those, those in the first group are those healthcare workers, especially because they have the highest rate or the highest rate of exposure to the virus, because they're working there every day. And of course, they need to be the most protected. And when you even think about the sacrifices that they've made so far, it's definitely more than deserved.
So here we have up on the screen, this is the phased rollout that the Ministry of Health spoke of yesterday. Healthcare workers, top of the list. Persons over 60, also top of the list. Persons with special conditions, cancer patients, HIV, and those requiring dialysis. And then you move into phase 2, which includes your teachers and police officers, National Assembly and Judiciary, Customs and Immigration, and the tourism sector. Phase 3 then includes BDF, Coast Guard, Fire Service, people with comorbidities, and Red Cross, utility workers, so that definitely they can be protected to keep on providing their essential services. And then we move into other public servants, transportation workers, both public and private. And then the last phase is kind of the general public, those over 18 and under 60. So that's the distribution that we have been told. We are told that at the end of, there was an additional donation that was received yesterday as well. And so that was from India, from the government of India. And then we know that the COVAX facility allocation should be arriving, in a bit over a month.
Yes,
so.
Exactly. And the goal is, of course, to vaccinate, I believe it's over 60% of the adult population, because as we know, the vaccine is going to be administered to persons who are older than 18 years. So that's the goal. And eventually, when we reach that, the hope is that we are going to if not necessarily return to normal, but return to, or let's say not return, but start a new normal.
That's true.
Yeah.
I think that's the reality we need to come to terms with. Let's go with that flow.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that, no matter what happens, vaccine or vaccine, life is going to change, or life has changed already. So it's just to what extent things are going to stay, what things are going to change. Even with the vaccine, I think a lot of the measures when it comes to at least sanitary things are going to remain in effect for a long time. And I think not even just because of, the law or something. I think that, society thinks a lot about, has changed a lot just because of all that's happened because of the pandemic.
Well, that's what happened in the Far East. When you look at how they have adapted to just the regular use of masks, it's because they have had quite a few scares when it comes to pandemics or from outbreaks of new diseases. And so getting, they were exposed to SARS, MERS, and other illnesses as well. So, you see generally more mask use in that part of the world. But I like what you said. We must adjust for what our new normal, another new normal will be. Because it probably, and we've been told repeatedly by health officials, that it's not going to be at the end of the vaccination rollout that we just go back to 2019. It's going to be a whole new world.
Yeah, exactly. And especially when you follow the international news and you see the stories about the different strains and the different levels or the different effects that they have on people, we know that it's not just a matter of, we now have the vaccines, everything's over. This thing is still very serious, so we don't want to let our guards down, especially right now when we are just in the very early phases of the vaccine rollout. And I also hope that people are willing to take it, as we see, that's another thing that we've been seeing different angles, different takes on, and different stories on internationally as well. People who are skeptical, people who may not want, who may think, they have their own reasons why they don't want to do it. And that of course would have its own significant effect as well. But we do hope that the government does reach its goals so that they can achieve what they want.
I think it'll be interesting to see how much of the vulnerable population are skeptical about getting the vaccine, because there can be very healthy people or people who don't have comorbidities or don't have vulnerabilities who perhaps may think, oh, I won't take it, I don't want to take it. I think the question is to look at those vulnerable groups and see how they're feeling.
Yeah.
Are they going to be interested in getting the vaccine, especially knowing the risks associated with them directly? But to your earlier point, to look at the fact that while we can take a moment to say, that's a very significant achievement for us, we have our vaccination rollout starting, it doesn't mean we're safe yet. And while the numbers have been promising, we must continue to remain vigilant. And on that note, tomorrow for election, there's going to be some special regulations in place as well. We know that in general the curfew will continue at 10 p.m., but tomorrow it's going to be earlier.
Yes, so that's until 8 p.m. tomorrow.
Yeah.
And there are, of course, going to be other, there are other measures, such as the ones that have been in place for almost a year now when it comes to social distancing and restrictions on gathering, and we actually are going to be speaking about some of the specifics about that later on in our show, about all the protocols that you have to follow on election day tomorrow.
That's right. And with that, let's get into our show for today, right?
Yeah. So, as Marlene said at the beginning of the show, we are at the end of our Meet the Mayoral Candidates segment, as elections are tomorrow, and we're going to bring it home. So we're speaking with the two Belize City mayoral candidates. So first, we are going to hear from the United Democratic Party's hopeful candidate for mayor, Orson Picard.
And then we're going to be joined by the PUP's mayoral candidate, Bernard Wagner.
Yep. And finally, we are going to be speaking with the Belize Police Department on all the protocols and rules that you have to follow for tomorrow, because even though it's election day, we're still in the thick of the pandemic. So that's going to be our show for this morning.
So that's what we have in store. We're going to go ahead and take that break. When we come back, we are officially in Belize City to meet our mayoral candidates. So please stay tuned.
It's a fact that you can access unlimited services with Smart. Tired of being measured or cut off when you need to be connected? It's a fact that when you sign up for Smart's Plus plan, you get unlimited talk, text, and unlimited data. And it's a fact that you can sign up with your group of up to 5 members for Smart's Share plans and up to 40 members for Smart's Enterprise plans for unlimited talk, text, and data. Smart has the true unlimited plans. That's a fact. Be smart and live smart.
Keeping safe from COVID-19 at your workplace requires 100% teamwork. You can keep earning while keeping yourself and others safe by doing some basic things. Wear a face mask at all times in the workplace unless you are alone in your own private space or office. Wash your hands frequently or utilize alcohol-based hand sanitizers and avoid touching your face. Disinfect surfaces like doorknobs, tables, desks, and handrails regularly. Increase ventilation by opening windows or adjusting air conditioning. Limit visitors and deliveries to the workplace and use appointments where possible. Attend meetings virtually as much as possible, and when not possible, hold meetings in open, well-ventilated spaces or rooms that allow for everyone to be 6 feet apart. Stay at home if you or a family member at home are feeling sick, or if you have been in contact with someone who tested positive for COVID-19. Keeping the workplace safe also requires that employees act responsibly when away from work. Practice social distancing and good hand washing hygiene. Avoid large gatherings and avoid unnecessary exposure to others. Protecting others means protecting yourself. Together, we can defeat COVID.
In partnership with the British High Commission. In these challenging times, the one thing that is certain is that the Belize Bank Limited is here for you. There is nothing more important than your health and safety, and we continue to make every effort to make banking safer for you. Our staff is working around the clock to make sure you can do your banking conveniently 24/7 using our mobile banking app and online banking and keeping ATMs up and running. We value your relationship with us and are here to provide the support you need. First responders are also out there 24/7. Thank you, healthcare workers, security forces, firefighters, caregivers. You are all appreciated. Stay safe. We will get through this together. The Belize Bank, our country, your bank.
And we're back. And if you're joining us right now, we're just getting our first conversation for this morning started. Of course, we are bringing you our Meet the Mayoral Candidates segment, and we are talking about what's home for our show, at least, right here in Belize City. So kicking off our show for this morning, we have the United Democratic Party's candidate for Mayor of Belize City, Urson Picart. Good morning.
Hi, Gavin. Good morning, Marlene. And good morning, good evening, and good night to our global listeners as well, whichever part of the world that they are tuned in from. Thanks for this opportunity.
Well, thank you so much for joining us. Now, let's just jump right into it, considering that tomorrow is the big day. How do you feel heading into the election?
Wow, I haven't even had time to actually do an assessment of my emotion, but in terms of how it is looking on the ground, my team and I are very confident that we will be supported by the residents of the city tomorrow in the municipal elections. We have been on the ground pounding. It's like an 8 to 5, only because it's really an 8 to 7 and an 8 to 8 in some instances, depending on the particular constituency in Belize City that we were campaigning in. I can safely say that we have completed 95 to 97% of Belize City, going from household to household during this time. And also, obviously, we have our other campaigns that are going parallel to the actual house-to-house campaign, which has to do with our social media campaign, our WhatsApp broadcast campaign, our text messaging campaign, and of course, our mobile text campaign as well. So we're in good spirits, and we're looking forward to tomorrow.
So let's step back a bit and understand a bit more about your motivations for wanting to put yourself forward as a potential mayor for Belize City. You've worked in the media so long. What was the impetus behind wanting to shift to public life?
This has been an ambition of mine for over 20 years, particularly when I finished sixth form at SGSC. I told my dad then that I wanted to get into politics, and he wasn't up for it at the time, because he was of the opinion that to get into politics, you have to have finances, and basically you have to have good money behind you if it is that you're going to get into politics. And so I decided to take the route of media to learn more about politics and the working of political parties, and to learn more about governance and good governance. And so that took me some 23 years. And so I have graduated, if I may say so myself, from a radio broadcaster to a journalist to an anchorman, and even dabbled a bit in cruise tourism over the years. So I have been having these conversations with like-minded people. One of my advisors, I've been going to his house for years, and we would sit on Thursday nights and talk about politics and talk about what is the trending issues and talk about news as well. And so COVID-19 really provided an opportunity for me to enter the political arena. And I am a person, whenever I see opportunities, I don't let them pass me any at all. I fully take advantage of them. And I am at an age now where I feel comfortable that I have matured enough. I have a broader perspective of what are the issues in our community. And of course, I am from the community as well. And so I see the needs every day, speak to our residents, whether it is working out in the morning or casually walking the street. And I genuinely want to make a difference and move to change the way how politics is viewed in Belize and is done in Belize. Hence the reason I placed my name on the ballot, because I was frustrated with the system and frustrated at the fact that the resources are not reaching the mass of the people who are the electorate, which are the poor people of this country, and particularly here in Belize City. The people who come out to vote and elect political parties are the poorer class of people.
So let's talk about, so you identify especially poverty as one of the driving forces behind wanting to put yourself into the race. Understanding that the municipality's mandate doesn't always go as deep as looking at being able to address or curb some of the social issues. What's your hope, if you are elected, to be able to change, to improve on the very lives that you talk about?
Marlene, resources are in this country. We only have, I think it might be somewhere a little bit over 400,000 people. And let me speak on a national level.
Yeah.
The amount of monies that have passed through this country since we got independence and prior to that, it's a shame that we have people living in the conditions that they are living now, particularly if you go to the poorer communities, which are the south side of Belize City, Genosha Boulevard, you go back to Antelope Street Extension, Lake High, and you see the conditions that our people are living in. It's disheartening to say the least. And so it is incumbent upon us to have representation at the table where grassroots people can actually have a voice and find the resources, put them in the communities where they need to put, while it is not forgetting the other developments that needs to happen in other parts of the country and for this particular conversation in the city. And so if it is that finances are there to do certain projects and to help drive local economic development, while it is additionally helping to minimize poverty in our city, then we should put those resources where they are needed most.
Yeah. Now let's talk about what the reaction has been since you put yourself forward. You had to go through a convention. It wasn't. It seems that it was also a part of you being able to sell yourself within the party before moving towards being named the actual candidate. Tell us about some of the lessons learned there.
Wow. As a journalist, looking from the outside into politics, we have a different perspective. But as an aspiring politician, you understand that the nuances of inner party dynamics is totally different. And so there is a fine line that you have to walk. I call it the dance. There is a fine dance that you have to do between ensuring what your ambitions are and aligning those with what are the ambitions and motivations of the political party. And so it's a learning process. I intend to ensure that my integrity stays intact. And while it is that I am here, I will continue to build my political profile, come what may, tomorrow, once it is that those ballots are counted and a decision has been made by the people of Belize City.
And earlier you spoke about the different ways in which you were campaigning, and you spoke a lot about the house-to-house and social media. What has the reaction been like from the persons that you have been able to reach and have conversations with?
Our residents are very welcoming. Very welcoming. My team and I sit down every night from 8 to 10 o'clock, and we have our post-mortem meetings whereby we discuss activities of the day. And as a leader of the UDP 11, it was my intention to ensure that my team fully understands that we will be serving the people of Belize City. And while it is that people may be aligned with one or two of the major political parties, or even the third parties, or some who don't even vote any at all, the intention was to make sure that we go to everybody's house, give everybody an opportunity to speak to us about their concerns in their particular communities. And also, it is that we heard that some people actually share their frustration with the political system. And so we lend a listening ear to that. And what we did at the end of that is to ensure that we take our message to them, our plans for the city, because a big part of our manifesto has to do with taking all these different concerns and putting them into a document that is actionable, workable, and practical. And so when I refer to our manifesto, it's not a UDP 11 manifesto, it's a Belize City manifesto, because these are the ideas that our community members have shared with us about their concerns and about talking about employment, talking about safety in their neighborhood, also talking about how to empower our women, our young girls, and how to take care of our elderly. So this manifesto that we have is a direct reflection of our conversations and consultations with residents of this city.
Yeah. Now, the interesting aspect of being the mayor in Belize City, I think, is especially since you've worked as a journalist, you know that there's not as much autonomy as many would like. You still have to rely on some level of subvention. You also have to be able to raise your capital for you to be able to execute your projects. What's the plan for you financially? How do you expect to be able to fulfill any of the commitments that you've made in your campaign so far?
Under COVID, it is my understanding after doing my research that city generates a little bit over $20 million a year. And this is from those revenue streams, including liquor license, business license, the different tickets for penalties that are issued for infractions in and around the city. And so that is what my research has shown me. Now, it's a modest $20 million a year. Now, the thing is for us to prioritize areas of concern and to use those resources where they are most needed. You spoke about finding additional source of revenues for the council. What I can tell you is that there is a lot of wastage taking place and I will be very careful how I say this. There is a lot of wastage taking place. I will say that generally in the council. So we want to put in place checks and balances and mechanisms in place to minimize those wastage so that those finances can be used in the city. Additionally, there is a trend in municipal governments in the Caribbean that has to do with crowdfunding. It's a trend that I have researched about extensively, and it speaks to tapping into Belizeans who live in the diaspora and lobbying them to be a part of the development of your particular municipality, in this case, Belize City. Mm-hmm. And so once it is that we can reach out to them, and we have already started to do the work already, because I have friends in Europe, Canada, and the United States who are like a group who I consult with on how to go about doing this. Once it is that we tap into the diaspora and give them incentives to invest in our city, then we have additional revenues. Now, there are alternative, other means of also generating finances that we have in our document, in our extended document, that once it is that we're elected, we will be using those as well to generate more finances, get more finances for the city so that we can get done what our manifesto basically states, which are 8 main points. I can call it 12, but the actual document has 8. So that is how we plan to move this city forward, using the revenues that are already there, generated by City Hall, find additional ways how to generate more revenues in terms of getting the finances back to the city, crowdfunding initiatives, and to use those finances to get our projects get the Belize City projects off the ground.
And why don't we talk about some of those specific projects? What are some of the ways, or what are the things that you want to accomplish that you will see, in your words, to transform the city?
Okay, so just before the projects, one of our first initiatives has to be to ensure that our staff at the City Council are taken care of. Currently, staff morale at the City Hall is very low. Benefits that should have been afforded employees at City Hall have not been afforded them. Some employees, traffic wardens, you can speak to them directly. They will tell you that they have been appraised 2-3 times, and yet still they are not considered full employees of the council. So what we want to do, the first order of business, is to ensure that our employees are taken care of first. Employees can't go to work and feel like they need to walk on eggshell. Employees should be going to work to do just that, to get their work done. And so once it is that we hammer out a collective bargaining agreement, that the proposed collective bargaining agreement that the Christian Workers Union has sent to the council, that will sort of alleviate some of those concerns of the employees at City Hall. And so we want to make sure that we take care of employees first, and make sure that employees know that when they're at work just to do that, and it's just to work. Some of the programs that we want to implement, which are actionable and practical, has to do with employment. Employment in terms of getting our youths back to work. How do we do that? We want to champion small businesses and entrepreneurial initiatives so that people can become their own bosses. What I find is that whenever politics season end up they come wrong, the politicians, they come out. Myself, as an aspiring politician as well, but this is my first time. And whenever it is elections are over, you don't see the politicians again. So the idea is to help entrepreneurs to start their business from concept all the way to operation, and provide some kind of oversight and mentorship for them, because most businesses would fail in the first 2 years. And so while it is that we will be there for 3 years, we want to make sure that these new business owners will be mentored as well by people who are successful. We already have the network for that as well. And so that way they can provide for their family. Because of the economic impact of COVID-19, a lot of people are out of job, particularly those in the tourism sector. But a lot of these people have different skill sets. And so if we can help them to open their own business from start to operation, then that bodes well for them and their family. Additionally, what we want to do is that we want to continue the works that should have been ongoing under the master plan for Belize City. That in itself will provide staggered employment for youths of varying communities once it is that those projects get underway, which means that some of those projects, if you remember, some of those street projects and drainage projects would last anywhere from 3 to 6 months. And so what we will be doing is reaching out to the young men from the community, and then have them be the ones who will be doing the work in the community on those projects anywhere between 3 to 6 months, so that they have some kind of employment during that time.
Let me just, you touched on a topic. You said one of the primary priorities for you is ensuring that your staff, the internal staff, is taken care of. And you mentioned the collective bargaining agreement. Out of curiosity, what are your thoughts on the decision to hold off on formalizing any agreement until after the election?
I think it was a weak decision. In 2019, the current CBA was up. I think it may have been November of 2019. It was 2020, and there is 2021. There was ample time to hammer out that CBA and to secure staff benefits and secure their job tenure. And so for me, it was weak that that was not done at all. But I understand that there were some personality issues in between the two leaders. And I think leadership has to do with finding that balance in terms of what you can and what you cannot do. There will be some give and take, but at the very same time, you have to identify and know exactly to what end that CBA would be serving, which is the employees at City Hall. And so it's not about personalities. Leaders shouldn't be worried about personalities. Let's do what is best in the interests of our staff.
So you don't agree with the reason given, which is no new council should start with an agreement that's committed by an outgoing council?
I think it was hogwash, Marlene, and that's all I'm going to say about that.
Okay. When you look at your campaign so far, Ursin, we know that the economic times are evident by just the lackluster campaigns that we're seeing across the country, not just Belize City. How do you feel? Do you feel that you have effectively gotten a message out there? And have you been running this campaign differently just in terms of your messaging?
Yeah. So this journey, I call it a journey that my team and I are on. Yeah. This journey is an interesting one because we have been given free rein to run our campaign. Mm-hmm. And I am somebody, I guess you would know this, Marlene, and some of your colleagues there at Channel 5, that I am big on sales and marketing and branding. Mm-hmm. And so I follow these things, I study them, I'm certified in them. And so I find that once it was that we had consulted with residents of the city, put together our manifesto, we had exactly what the message needed to be to share with residents of this city, which is to ensure that they have a platform that their voices can be heard and their concerns are heard, but not only heard, they can be addressed in a very practical and in a very practical fashion. Mm-hmm. And so I love the fact that I have been allowed to be the head of our campaign, even though we have a campaign manager. So I'm responsible for all the content that has to do with our personal campaign. Mm-hmm. I'm not speaking about anything else that may be trying to disparage other candidates or disparage the ruling administration. I'm talking about the UDP 11 campaign. All of those videos we have done ourselves, we have edited, we have shared on our WhatsApp broadcast group, shared on our social media pages, because I think
so I guess you're trying to, in this statement, distance yourself from some of the videos we saw early in the campaign.
Yeah, definitely.
Attacking women who were running for politics.
And from my very first interview that I did in front of City Hall, I stated that I would be running a clean campaign because I think as aspiring politicians, we need to change the status quo and change the way how politics in Belize is done. I don't need to be talking about what the current council did or did not do. It is evident people see that. So why should I be wasting time on talking about what they didn't do? We need to be focused on our messaging, what we plan to do. And don't talk about excuses about COVID. God, man, the world is going through COVID. Let's find practical solutions around that. Mm-hmm. And I'm all about solutions. I'm a results-driven person.
Yeah. And let's talk about your slate. The team that's going to be on the ballot with you.
What would you like to know?
Well, you tell me. What are your strengths and weaknesses that you're bringing forward?
Okay, so I have learned over the years that to be an effective leader, you have to identify the deficiencies in people around you and to build their capacities to make them stronger. And so what you have to do is to look at their strengths, maximize those strengths. We have 4 female councillor candidates, 2 of whom are educators, Alicia Craig and Azette Oliveira. We also have our youngest on the slate, who is Miss Megan Tasher. Mm-hmm. And we also have Kira Bowman, who works over at Social Security, and she is big in the paralegal study. She's big on unionism. A gentleman who brings a wealth of experience to our team is Sir Kenny Morgan. He has institutional knowledge about Belize City and how this city has been run, and so we lean to him to get that historical aspect while it is that we do our research as well. Alan Kelly is very big on entrepreneurship and small businesses and promoting that platform. Actually, he was the person who came up with that platform for the UDP Belize 11. Dr. Alain Gonzalez is a former councillor. He served under Darrell Bradley. And Dr. Alain brings his experience as a former councillor and leader as well, and as a doctor to our slate. Andrew Bradley is the kind of person where I would say, he now upon the ground kind of person. Andrew is all about hitting the ground and wanting to get things done. Very sincere guy. Yeah. Leon Gill, who I have grown to have an immense respect for over the last couple of weeks, is you guys would know him. I think he got married on one of your programs. Yeah. And so Leon brings a wealth of experience in terms of sports and sporting activities, and his mission is to ensure that we could do sport certification while it is that we're in these COVID times. And we also have post-COVID initiatives listed in our manifesto as well. Yeah. And then there is none other than Shane D. Williams. Shane is a media professional like myself. He's rooted in the communities that he lives, particularly Queen Square and Port Loyola, but he does work in other communities as well. He is one of the persons who I realize that if we have more politicians like Shane D. Williams in the near future, this country will be in a very, very good place.
So that is the team that you are leading, hoping to be able to be elected come just less than, one day away. Now, Ersin, when you look at the challenges that lie ahead, one of the things that's very evident, and we've heard it from other campaigns so far, is that the People's United Party is talking about the campaigns in other municipalities are talking about, well, central government is blue, so it's great for us to unite and work together. Now, that's their platform, but for you, it also poses a challenge. Two challenges there. One, looking at working along with a central government that is of a different party, and secondly, 3 months after a major defeat by your party, where at this time, there's a lot of information coming out as to some of the things that took place under that administration. How much is that a cloud over your campaign at the moment?
Well, I think most people now are frustrated with the current administration because that's what we're actually getting on the campaign trail. They have walked up on over 80% or 90% of what they came in on Plan Belize. And so that's the frustration that we're hearing on the ground, even from people who are staunch PUP supporters. They're like, we have to send them a message that they need to tighten up, because if they think that 5 years of this, we might end up the tech, then we not end up the debt on that. So that works well for us going into the municipal election. Speaking to what took place on November 11th in terms of the general elections, I think the people spoke clearly that, listen to me, United Democratic Party, you guys need to go in opposition, take one seat and restructure. And this is why our democracy is so great, because the people has the ultimate say. And so our party now is back at the drawing board, and we are restructuring our party, led by party leader Patrick Kwaba. And so I am just looking forward to all the different plans that he has for this party to move this party forward, and by extension, once it is that we're elected in the next 5 years, to move Belize as a country forward, pardon me. And then you also asked about the central government being a PUP central government. Democracies in this world thrive on checks and balances. If there are no checks and balances, then one ruling party will do as they please. This is the perfect storm for a check and balance. Across this country, voters should vote for UDP city councils and town councils, because what that then does is that the central government would keep in check the local governments, and then the local government can be the watchdog for the central government. And so at the end of the day, I think it's the people of this country who will ultimately be the one to benefit from that kind of arrangement. And when it comes to subventions. I think the subvention that is afforded town councils and city councils, but I can speak only of Belize City, is going towards the municipal bond. And so this present council has been operating without that for the past 3 years, but yet they can still boast of a $4.6 surplus. That goes well. So I don't see where the problem is in terms of having the resources and putting them where they need to actually go. So people need to feel they not buy into the political propaganda. As a journalist, I'm all about the truth. So I use this platform to speak truth to our political system. Local government is a small central government. They generate their own finances. People have to know that. And right now, the current administration is bawling that the country broke. We're in a financial crisis. So central government no have no money to give no local government any at all by their own admission. And so people has to know that. So don't feel or don't think that if you vote in the blue at local government, that they will be getting any money from central government. They will not, because the Prime Minister of this country has stated on record numerous times that we're broke. So we have to do with what we have, and this is why we have to find innovative ways of finding finances for our municipalities so that we can drive local economic development and we can get projects underway that will positively impact our constituents.
And what about your thoughts of working along with the business sector in Belize? Belize City is the commercial hub, and we have definitely seen the economic effects of COVID here. In your plan, what are you saying is your goal in being able to establish or build on a relationship there?
Yeah, I am very big on networking, Marlene and Gavin. I'm very big on consulting. I'm very big on collaboration. And so whatever the political landscape looks like, we have to ensure that everyone is brought to the table. In our campaign, we met with numerous business people, and I understand their concerns in terms of still having to pay their business taxes while it is that they are operating at a loss of about anywhere from 50 to 70%. Certain businesses have had to let go of 75% of their staff, but the businesses, they still have to pay the full business tax. There has to be a way where businesses are afforded some kind of relief, at least in the interim, so that they can at least bring back some of their staff so that we get people back working, and at the very same time, we don't tax the business community to death. A big part of ensuring that particularly business in Belize City get more traffic is our digital media marketplace that we want to implement once it is that we are elected. What we will do is that we will digitize Belize City, take the businesses, put them on a platform where the different business owners or somebody who is tech savvy in their business can upload their products, upload their services, and then we promote that. As I said, I will be using all of my resources and all my expertise in marketing to promote that platform. So the reach is not only in Belize City. If, let's say, you wanted to buy a microwave and you get a cheaper price at probably 88 on Central American Boulevard, they will be on our platform. You check the prices, you check the list, and you can order from there. And then once you order, what then you do, you just actually stop in and pick up and you end up to go. So the reach is not only in the city, it's countrywide and by extension, even global for people who might be coming home and want to purchase certain products. That platform will be there so that we help our business community to get more clients during these trying times.
Yeah. Well, Urson, we're down to our final 60 seconds. So what we do at the end of these segments is we allow the candidate to be able to talk directly to voters. So go ahead and let them know why you feel you were the best pick come March 3rd.
Belize City, you guys have nurtured me and my councillor candidates for years. Now I think we're at a point where we need to give back to our community. You know the challenges that our communities are facing. We know them because we live in those communities. And so we want to ask you tomorrow when you go to the polls, consider the UDP 11 as the viable option to run this city and to administrate this city. We will ensure that the goods and services reaches our communities. And so we ask you to be safe tomorrow. Once it is that you're going to the polls, vote for the UDP 11. Remember, we live in a Belize city, so we know the challenges. Thank you.
All right. Well, Orson, thank you so much for joining us this morning and sharing a bit about yourself and your vision for the city. We really appreciate the time.
Thank you, Gavin. Thank you, Marlene. And look forward to the coverage tomorrow. And Belize City, please make sure that you use your mask whenever in lines. Please make sure you social distance as well. All right, keep yourself and keep your family safe. Thank you.
All right, thank you, and stay safe yourself. And with that, we are going to be taking a break, and when we come back, we're going to be continuing our Meet the Mayoral Candidate segment, and we're going to be hearing from the People's United Party's candidate, the incumbent mayor. So please stay tuned.
As strong as our families, businesses, institutions, and the communities that surround us. Then by giving businesses the power to grow, entrepreneurs the ability to expand, and by giving our families the right to own something. The Belize Bank gives you the power to build a nation, our nation. Stronger together. The Belize Bank. Our country. Your bank. Love is a connection that should last forever. This February, NextGen is sharing the love with amazing promo deals for everyone. Reconnect or install with NextGen for free. Sign up for our affordable cable and high-speed internet plans and get 1 month free on your acquired service. But that's not all. New and reconnecting customers can now receive 1 month free MyTV subscription when you sign up with us anytime in February. Some restrictions apply. For more information on our promotions and services, contact us at 0800-222-5388 or via our social media platforms. NextGen, powered by Central TV and Internet.
Are you traveling? Effective January 26, all passengers traveling internationally will need to get tested no more than 3 days before you travel to the United States and show your negative result to the airline before you board your flight. Here at Caring Hands Clinic in San Pedro, we administer the antigen test, frequently referred to as a rapid test. Our products are CDC compliant and FDA approved. Testing has never been this easy. With our highly certified and licensed medical staff, we provide you with an accurate test result in minutes, making your experience fast, safe, and easy. To book your appointments today, contact us on any of our hotlines at 671-TEST or 672-TEST, 226-FAST, or our Vonage line at 305-420-6203. Book your appointments online at www.belizecovidtest.com. Caring Hands Clinic Antigen Test Center. We're pleased to serve you.
Belizeans will once again go to the polls on March 3rd for municipal elections 2021. Channel 5 will bring you all-day live coverage from all 9 municipalities. Our nationwide correspondents and in-studio analysts will provide you with up-to-date reports and commentary from 6 a.m. until the last vote is counted and results declared. Municipal Elections 2021, Wednesday, March 3rd, live on Channel 5 and on our Facebook and YouTube pages.
And we're back, and we are continuing our Meet the Mayoral Candidates segment, the final one actually before the election. And of course, we're bringing it on home right here to Belize City. And now we are going to be hearing from the People's United Party's mayoral candidate, the incumbent mayor, Mayor Bernard Wagner. Good morning.
Hi, good morning, Gavin, and good morning, Marlene. How are you all doing?
We're doing great. And thank you so much for joining us. Now, of course, the big day is tomorrow, so I am going to just return that question right back to you. So how are you feeling leading up to the big day?
Yeah, thanks again, and I want to say good morning to your viewers as well, but it has been pretty exciting on the campaign trail. Our journey started in 2018. Gavin and Marlene again has been a journey, a lot of challenges, but a lot of opportunities as well. And so as a council, we embrace those opportunities and we look forward to continuing serving our city. We have been under the administration of a UDP government for the past 3 years. And while we did great work, I believe we did significant work in getting the financial sustainability of the council intact. We are now poised, along with a friendly central government, to really drive change, drive development into the Belize City area.
Now let's look at your decision to put yourself forward for re-election. Your term overlap with this global pandemic that no one was prepared for. And I've heard you speak of that as a part of the reason to talk about what you have been able to accomplish and not accomplish. But beyond that, taking a focus exclusively on financials, on being able to ensure the financial viability of the council has always been one of your early criticisms. Talk to me about how you take that into perspective when you decide to go up for re-election.
Again, it all in running a municipality, Marlene, it always has to come back to maintaining financial balance. We as a city council operated under a government that essentially choked us to some degree. So we had to learn quickly. We had to learn quickly to ensure that the taxes that we collect from the city is well spent, that it is budgeted, that it is in the overall scheme of ensuring that priorities are met. And we were well on our way to achieving much more than what have been achieved over the past 3 years. COVID came, and many times I hear the mayoral candidate I heard him on Love FM a couple weeks ago, or last week actually, speaking on the wrongs of maintaining fiscal prudence, the wrongs of not of enjoying an operating surplus. And I always come back to the fact that the operating surplus, if we were not prudent enough, Marlene, to manage and navigate the financial road with an unfriendly government, if we were not able to do that, when COVID came and when the government told all the mayors in this country that you are all on your own, that you must find your own resources to navigate the COVID pandemic, we were able to do so, given the fact that we had put in place the necessary systems and were using that operating surplus. We had that, and many times people talk about operating surplus as it's cash. Operating surplus, Marlene, is not cash in the bank. It's simply that your expenditure for the fiscal period is less than your revenue. It has not surpassed your revenue. Yeah. We hear our Prime Minister right now speaks on his budget, that his budget has a a deficit of 500 million. So he has to find ways on how to bring down that deficit, or else he will have to fund that deficit either by loans, either by borrowing, either by grants. But he'll have to, at some point in time, take care of that deficit, or else he'll be unable to carry out some of the works that he wants to do. Similarly, in a municipality, when you talk about operating surplus, it does not mean, and I want to teach the gentleman from the other side about operating surplus is not cash in the bank. It just simply means that you have been able to cut down wastage and you have been able to enhance revenue streams and revenue flows. And that is why we, as an opposing council of different political persuasion, were able to survive that climate. But for 3 years. We were able to survive.
And, you know, I know we've had conversations on this show with very similar, with this very similar issue. But the unique position you were put in is that you followed a mayor where the infrastructure work and development in the city was very evident to voters. And so when you shifted to looking at the financial prudence within the council, which I think everyone can agree is equally important, should there not have been a balance with the public work, the work that people would have been able to see as tangible efforts being made?
Of course, that is what all municipalities strive to do, that you want to find balance. You want to ensure that you carry out your legal mandate as well as carry out some of the social infrastructure work. But, Marlene, what people fail to realize again is that the previous mayor, and he, in the view of many people, he performed well. But the point of the matter is that he floated a bond of 20 million that I am paying, right? He received 20 million of Petrocarib funds from his government. So he had, this mayor, the previous mayor, will go down in history as having the largest arsenal of finance at his fingertips. He was a lucky guy. He came in when Petrocarib was rolling. He came in when his government was just about to launch into their 12-year reign. He floated a bond that I am paying. And so in the financial world, there are peaks and valleys. And so while you'll have a peak here in the streets infrastructure, you at some point in time, it has to go down back, because we have to now pay back the bill. And out of that 20 million bond that he floated, we had to repay from our subvention. We had to repay from revenues that would have been coming ordinarily to the council from the head tax. We had to forego all of those things. And this is the context of the performance of this council, that despite the hemorrhaging of our ability or our revenue streams were cut off to repay the debt, the bond for the cement streets that are now breaking up, we still managed to survive this pandemic. We have not terminated not one of our staff. And so when I hear that the mayoral candidate for the United Democratic Party speaks about taking care of your employee, there's nothing greater in taking care of your employee than not terminating their services. And I want him to ask those workers at the Belize Tourism Board and those workers at the tourist village, that when everything hit the ceiling in March of 2020, who was on the wall with those workers? Mayor Wagner and his Belize City Council was on the wall with those workers, and today none of those workers can say that they were terminated. That is the crux of the matter, Mark.
Let me probe into another issue here. So you speak of the peaks and valleys, and I think that's a great analogy to use. When you talk about being re-elected, which is your hope, under a friendly government, without a doubt, this is the deepest of valleys collectively we have ever faced. So is it hinging a promise on something that doesn't exist? Central government, as you've clearly pointed out, as the Prime Minister has pointed out, as we see and feel and hear around the globe, is not in a capacity to be able to dish out any additional funds to any municipality. So why use that as a part of your platform?
And that is why we have lived this already. We have lived the hard times already. We know to survive the hard times. Why take risks with someone or some group that does not know to navigate this terrain? We have been tested in navigating this terrain. Listen, man, of 2018, learned quickly that you can't be worried about who's on the other side. You have your job to do to serve the residents of this city. And come hell or high water, you have to serve the residents of this city. And that is what we did. Now what we are saying is, with our central government, and again, our central government hands are tied. And so we are not going here thinking that we will be getting this and getting that. No, we still have to maintain our fiscal prudence, but we know that together as one, right, we can build synergies, we can become innovative, we can engage in shared ventures, we can tap into overseas partnership, meet with stakeholders, and not be locked out of the door. That is what we anticipate. We're not anticipating from our government that they will give us 20 million like the government under the Barrow gave to Darrell Bradley, 20 million of Petrocarib funds, so that he could have looked good and build huge cement streets without drains, where our people have deplorable homes, but a huge cement street sits right in front of them. When I walk on the campaign trail in the Jasmine Street area, in the Jane Usher area, in the Penn Road and Farbers Road area, and see the living conditions after a party has been in for 12 years and a city council prior to us being there for 15 years, and I see the living conditions of the homes of some of our elderly people. My God.
And have those living conditions changed under the years that you have been the mayor of the city?
Under my watch, I am not mandated to build homes, Marlene, but...
I understand. But then the reason I ask that is because it's the same thing. You can't say, why didn't the city council uplift these homes in that time if you know it's not a part of the mandate? I think one of the things that people look at in these elections...
But I'm trying to say here, Marlene,
Go ahead.
What I'm trying to say here is that even with that said, myself and my councillors couldn't leave Miss Orime Evans. We couldn't leave Miss Merlin King, elderly woman living in those conditions. So what we did not sit pat. We did not go and take pictures and just for picture taking sake. We brought stakeholders together and we said, listen, these are elderly women in our society. How can we work together as a city, as a responsible council to alleviate the living conditions of two of our elderly women in our society? And the rest is history. We are not legally mandated, but we still care, right? People don't worry about what you know, Marlene. All they care about is knowing that you care. And by being able to provide 2 homes to 2 of our elderly in our city, I am satisfied, right? I know that our government has a huge mandate to now address the deplorable conditions of the many residents in the city and how they are living. And I know that my central government has pledged to ensure that homes are built. No homes have been built in this country for 12 years, right? We as a city council built more homes than the government did in 12 years, right? So I am saying that we care about our people and we not talk it. We walk it and we show it each and every day.
And, you know, with all of that said, and with, why don't we go into a little bit more specifics about what your, you and your team's ambitions are for if you are successful tomorrow. With that support and the skills that you say that you have, what's the vision or what's the plan for the upcoming years if it is that you do win tomorrow at the polls?
Of course, again, there are so many things to do. That's why I am back. And that is why I have rebuilt my team. As you can't stay put in this business, I always try to use the analogy that we are in a game and it's in a sporting arena, and when you win, you can't stay put. You have to enhance and strengthen, right? So that you are able to meet the needs of our people. And so we have been able to build a stronger team to really drive change for the next 3 years. And together as one with our central government, putting in place the environment so that we are successful. I'm not asking for hands out from the government. I'm saying that giving us the environment, right? We use shared ventures, right? We collaborate and we communicate. We will be able to achieve so much for this city. We want to overhaul the tax structure in the city. We have a trade license bill that has been sitting in the House of Representatives for the past 2 years, but no one has the will to pass this trade license bill. This trade license bill will really satisfy those that do business in our cities and towns, because it will be more equitable, it will be more, it will be transparent, it will be very predictable, right? And it will have revenue neutrality. That is where the business people are clamoring for. They want to be able to predict their business, their business and trade tax very early. Yeah. They want, when you are starting a business, you want to know without having all these subjective type systems in place, that you are able to you and your group can easily quantify what your trade license would be, right? So that bill sits in the House of Representatives, and through the Mayors Association has had many hours spent lobbying business houses to adapt to this bill and to prepare them for when this bill is launched. So that is one of the areas we feel that with our central government and the Mayors Association and the local government working hand in hand to ensure that we get this bill through the House of Representatives. We want to replace the Belize City Swing Bridge. That bridge. Go ahead.
No, that's a very critical point there. You want to replace the bridge?
We want to replace the bridge. We know it has its historical fanfare, but that bridge, eventually we have to deal with it, and we have already met with the Minister of Infrastructure and Works, and that is in the entire workings to ensure that we find funding within our term here to get a new bridge at the Belize City Swing Bridge. That is in our manifesto as well.
Mayor Watram, let me go before we go through the list of projects. You know, when you talk about having a friendly central government, one of the other aspects to look at is some people view the upcoming election as a litmus test on how people feel about the current administration. They've not been without their scrutiny, and so when people head to the polls, just as they did in November 11th to send a clear message, they may also do so come tomorrow. What are your thoughts on that?
Again, I bring it back to the City Council. You cannot compare or give anybody an opportunity in 3 months, right? It's ridiculous to some extent that you would compare the People's United Party performance in just 3 months to an entity that has been there for 12, 13 years, man. That no whole. So that is thrown through the window in my view. It's just like the City Council. People compared us to the previous council that was there for 15 years. And you're comparing 3 years, 2 years being one of those areas being where you're dealing with crisis management. It's just not fair, and I believe that the residents of the city recognizes this, that you can't, in just 3 months, this is political game being played here, where the opposition wants to get back on this horse quickly, and so they are throwing all these type of scenarios here, there, but you have to come back to the basics, and the basics is that the People's United Party, led by our Prime Minister Johnny Briceño, has only been there for 3 months, and nothing can be done in 3 months. Okay. I can attest to that. When you are out of office or out of governance for so long, and you get back, and you win, and you get in there, you are overwhelmed, right? And everybody can speak about it, that things are coming at you very, very fast, Marlene, and you have to be able to adapt quickly. But I can't accept what they are saying out there about our government, that you can't compare 3 months to 13 years, 3 years to 15 years, no comparison. You have to give it time.
But even so, with your 3-year mandate, what are some of the lessons you've learned along the way that going back to residents, asking them to vote for you, that you can say you will do better or differently?
Again, there's always the need to do better. I am never a person who says that we have reached here and we have reached a plateau. No. Yeah. There's always room for improvement. Even me as a mayor, Marlene, I'm a leader, but you do at some point in time, you have to assess your own self and do critical analysis. And we have room for improvement as a council, and that is why I am putting myself back out here again, because I have unfinished job. I have an unfinished job, and I will not rest until I am able to realize, right, the dream and the vision of this city, of being a modern city, of being a city where opportunity exists for all, right, where there are jobs, where there is this great and vibrant local economy, where people feel safe in their homes, where our kids can walk the streets in a safe manner. Right, these are the type of things that drive me each and every night to ensure that I still have the job to do. It's unfinished. I have to complete the job.
Is there a new area as you go out into your campaign? Is there something new that you see, having had the experience of 3 years, that you know a re-elected council would be prioritizing in another term?
Maintain again, as we walk the streets, one of the key areas is drainage. Drains is not sexy like cement streets. So I believe the past administration obviously must have felt that we just have to build the cement streets. We don't have to look at drainage. But if you go on the north side, there's a drainage issue. Right? You go on the south side, there is drainage issue. So drainage does not discriminate, right? The person or the resident living in the Caribbean shores area with its beautiful cement street, its sea view, still has drainage problem. The person living in the Belama, when the floods came, we know that there's a drainage problem issue there. In the Jane Usher Boulevard, there's a drainage issue. In the Lake Eye area where the big cement streets, Jasmine Street is cement, there's drainage issue. So we have to look at a comprehensive drainage rehabilitation. We have spoken to the Minister of Works and Infrastructure, and we need engineering expertise, because I have no expertise in drain. People come to me and say, if we dig the street so you connect to the canal, what we need is a comprehensive analysis of the drain, where it connects to the canals, where it connects to the rivers, where it connects to the sea. These are all a part of how we will alleviate the sufferings of our people. And what that does to, what drainage does, it impedes, or it does not have the streets tear apart very quickly. If you have proper drain, the water flows off the street and into the drains. into the streams, into the canals, into the rivers, and out to the sea. So we have to look at a comprehensive drainage project for the Belama, for the Caribbean shores, for the Jane Ushers, for the Penroad areas, for the Gongolong areas. And that is how we will begin to bring change and a better quality of life for the residents of this city.
And speaking of the residents, apart from that issue which you've just raised, which of course is very important, but what else have you been hearing from the residents of the city that are their major concerns, and what's your message to them and how you can deliver on some of their expectations?
The number one thing is jobs. Then you have drains and streets, right? And then you have safety, right? I believe, what the council can do, we can address safety to some extent. We can address jobs, because by creating a robust local economy for this city, then jobs are created. I hear my good friend speaking about driving entrepreneurship. We have done that. We don't talk it. We were able during the COVID pandemic to drive 25 new young entrepreneurs to be their own boss. He continuously uses our phrase, be your own boss. That's our slang. The BCAP, the Belize Accelerator Program, Belize City Accelerator Program, we've done that. We ensured that the young entrepreneurs got the necessary supplies, equipment for sustainability for their business. We ensure that they receive the adequate training in terms of financial literacy, driving your business, marketing your business. And those 25 young entrepreneurs are now producing for the city, are now active business owners, so that eventually they will be able to employ 2, employ 3, so that eventually our city will be a robust city where young businesses are thriving. And that is where this city council comes in. We need to ensure that we are able to assist and make the process of opening a business very easy. When those young entrepreneurs come to us, they say, I can't register my business. How is the trade license process go? We train them in that area, right? That is one area that we want to enhance, that it becomes very easy for them to register, to apply for the trade license, and to find areas where they can do business.
Okay, and so that's one area. And we're quickly running out of time, so I want to ensure that we get enough time to talk a bit about your slate. One of the things that looking forward, you have a new slate that's working along with you. Tell me about some of the additions that you feel optimistic about.
Again, my slate, we have four women, young women in our society, man. That when I work with these individuals, people gravitate to them. In Kaya Katus, everyone knows Kaya. Kaya is a cyclist, promotes sports, the sports coordinator of the National Sports Council. You have Diana Rikenya. She's an activist in her community, has been one of the catalysts in her community to ensure that the youth voices are heard. We have Stefan Hamilton, a professional person working in the Belize tourism industry. She brings that knowledge of how to mesh and get synergies aligning for the tourism sector as we look back and we look forward to bringing back tourism into our city and into our country. And then we have Natasha Pipersberg. She has a paralegal background. She has worked at the city council, is a political activist in the Caribbean shore areas. So we are proud of the 4 women that we have on our slate. And I don't need to speak much about the males. We have newcomer Edmond Kwan, a businessman. We have Mike Dovelo. He's an activist in the Lakei area, worked with the council. He drove all of our sporting programs for the past 3 years in our city, the basketball programs, the baseball programs. All of our youth and sporting activities was driven by him. We have Albert Vaughan. Who doesn't know Albert Vaughan? He's a guy in the room that keeps all of us in check, right? And then you have the youngsters, the Alan Pollards and the Micah Goodens and the Javier Castellanos. All of this team, when pulled together, and we pull off each other's strengths and probably we try to hide and try to make sure that if there are any weaknesses, we put our councillors in areas that they can exceed in, and we continue to work as a group, right? Knowing that we have to serve the residents of the city, not one constituents, but across all constituents, across all audiences. That is the role of a council. And I'm trying to stress to them as we go about our business that you serve as a board of directors. You don't deal with the daily administrative rules of the council. You are a board. You make policies, you pass resolutions, and the city administrator execute those resolutions.
All right, Mayor, last 60 seconds for the conversation. Of course, this is the time we give our candidates the opportunity to talk directly to their voters.
Thanks again. Belize City voters, we come to you, very humble group, a group that is willing to work for you, a group that has proven that we can survive under any circumstances. We survived the COVID pandemic, right? We worked under a UDP government and we survived. Why take any risk on not knowing what that other individual will bring? Why take that risk? We have proven in the darkest of days that we can steer the ship, right? We can steer the ship in the right path. Now, with a central government working together as one and creating the environment and building synergies, right? Doing shared ventures, innovation, Belize City can now really enjoy progress where there's this quality of life for all residents of the city. We know that we can get the job done, right? We have proven ourselves as a city council. We know that you want your streets decent, you want your drains decent. Give us time. We went through a COVID pandemic. There's only an upward trend that can happen now. Give us the opportunity, and thank you again.
And thank you too, and please stay safe on the remainder of the campaign trail.
Thank you, Marlene, and thank you, Gavin. Have a great day.
All right.
All right, and you too. And there you had it. That was the PUP's candidate for Mayor of Belize City. Of course, that is our incumbent Mayor, Bernard Wagner. And with that, we are going to be taking another break. And when we come back, we're going to be talking all about the safety protocols that you have to observe for tomorrow's election. So please stay tuned, and we'll be right back.
Hola, Tony.
Hey, Kevin, ¿qué onda? ¿Qué pasa?
Nada, le vine a buscar porque necesito comprar más mercancías de vasos y platos desechables para mi tienda de comestible. Me estoy quedando sin esas cosas.
No, hombre, fíjate que desde el 15 de abril no puedo importar nada de eso. Y se me acaba de terminar todo lo que tenía hace como 3 semanas.
Oye, pero nunca has estado sin esas cosas. ¿Qué está pasando?
Mira esto. Esta es la nueva ley que prohíbe todo el uso de plásticos no reutilizables. Esos son vasos, platos, cucharas, tenedores, todo eso. Desde 15 de abril de este año no he podido importar nada de eso. A partir del 15 de enero del 2021 nadie puede fabricarlo. 15 de abril 2021 nadie lo puede vender. Y a partir del 14 de julio del 2021 si alguien te agarra con eso, te multan.
Híjole, no sabía eso. Necesito cambiar algunas cosas. Les diré a mis clientes por qué esas cosas ya no están disponibles. Gracias, Antonio.
Así es, cuídate.
If we are only as strong as our families, businesses, institutions, and the communities that surround us, then by giving businesses the power to grow, entrepreneurs the ability to expand, and by giving our families the right to own something. The Belize Bank gives you the power to build a nation, our nation. We are stronger together. The Belize Bank, our country, your bank.
It's a fact that you can access unlimited services with Smart. Tired of being measured or cut off when you need to be connected? It's a fact that when you sign up for Smart's Plus plan, you get unlimited talk, text, and unlimited data. And it's a fact that you can sign up with your group of up to 5 members for Smart's Share plans and up to 40 members for Smart's Enterprise plans for unlimited talk, text, and data. Smart has the true unlimited plans. That's a fact. Be smart and live smart.
Belizeans will once again go to the polls on March 3rd for municipal elections 2021. Channel 5 will bring you all-day live coverage from all 9 municipalities. Our nationwide correspondents and in-studio analysts will provide you with up-to-date reports and commentary from 6 a.m. until the last vote is counted and results declared. Municipal Elections 2021, Wednesday, March 3rd, live on Channel 5 and on our Facebook and YouTube pages.
So class, let's review your homework. What are some of the things that we can do to make sure everyone has a clean and reliable supply of water?
Sir, we should turn off the faucet when using soap to bathe, to wash our hands, and maybe even our cars. This will cut our water bills and save us a lot of water.
My dad says we should keep the area around the water pipes close to our houses clean.
Yes, sir. We should encourage our parents to pay their water bills so the entire village will always have clean water.
Right, class. We should not forget to attend water board meetings and add our 2 cents. Make sure everyone has reliable, clean water.
My mom says that we young people can volunteer to paint the public water pipe.
So, how do we make sure we will always have reliable, clean water?
Join the Clean Water Revolution. Get involved today and do your part to keep your water supply clean and reliable.
The Department of Rural Development is working on achieving Goal 6 of the Sustainable Development Goals, which is to ensure access to water and sanitation for all.
Hey, Dad.
Hi, Brian. Please stop running around the house.
Right now, Dad.
Damn it, Brian! I told you stop it! Can't you hear me? Are you deaf? Or you just being...
Time out. Your life is stressful, and it is easy to lose your patience. When you feel this is about to happen, take a time out. Harsh words are verbal violence and can be very harmful. They are not forgotten. Offering alternatives and communicating with your child is the best way to build real respect. I'm sorry, Brian. That just had a rough day at work. Can you do something quiet?
Do you want a job?
That's more like it.
You never know when it might happen.
You can't afford to take chances with your safety. You can't afford to take chances with your life. Because you never know when it might happen.
Always be safe, because you never know.
It's me, your clean, germ-free public water supply running through rural Belize to touch the lives of our villagers. I just want to take a moment to thank all of you for making me feel so special. I take my job seriously, making sure I'm always ready to drink and available. And I love my job, taking care of the entire family. Gently bathing baby Fred, making sure he gets no soap in his eyes. Splashing down on Dad's garden to keep the vegetables growing. One of my favorite activities is to pour into the kitchen to help Mom prepare a wonderful home-cooked meal. And at the end of the day, I rest, waiting on standby for whenever the family needs me again. Most importantly, when villagers pay their water bills, I get the support I need to keep working for everyone's benefit. Always remember, investing in me is investing in life.
The Department of Rural Development is working on achieving Goal 6 of the Sustainable Development Goals, which is to ensure access to water and sanitation for all.
Wow. Oh my God, she drunk. No hurry, I got this. Goodness. Oh my gosh, it's the artist.
Being the hardest. The artist. But you had way more than 2 drinks tonight, love, which is a legal limit to drive. What about you? Can you drive?
Well, I was drinking soft drink all night, so I can drive her home. Aw, thanks, Bree.
Of course, Tricia, you know I got you. You're my girl.
That's what I like to see. Friends don't let friends drive drunk, because you can't replay in a real life. Stig says so. Can't replay in a real life.
Before you get caught up in this lifestyle, think about what could happen. You could end up in prison. Quick end to your life. Your family becomes a target.
Have to protect the life where we live, so you know, so we have to think smart. Have to think smart. Have to protect the life where we live, so you have to watch your head back. Watch your head back.
Back, and we're moving into our final segment for today, where we review some of the security protocols that will be in place for municipal elections. We're joined on the phone by Superintendent Azanet Cook, who is the staff officer at the Commander Operations. Good morning.
Good morning. Good morning.
All right, and how are you?
I'm fine, thank you. Thanks for having me.
All right. Well, it's unfortunate we weren't able to work out our technical difficulties, but of course, the thing that we really need to know is to know what new rules will be governed by for municipal elections. So tell us about some of the major changes.
Right. Well, as you know, we have the principal regulations which are amended. On the 3rd day of March, which is municipal election day, the curfew will be imposed during the hours of 8 o'clock p.m. until 5 o'clock a.m. of the following morning. On the 4th of March, the curfew is imposed during the hours of 10 p.m. until 5 a.m. for the following 30 days, but for municipal election day, the curfew starts at 8 p.m. Then we have the Intoxicating Liquor Licensing Act, where it says that no person shall sell liquor on the 3rd day of March 2021 during the hours of 6 p.m. to 5 a.m. of the following morning. And then also on the 3rd day of March, no person shall loiter in any public place, congregate in partisan groups of more than 10 persons, or solicit votes from electors at or near a polling station. So those are the amendments that we have on election day for to ensure that the election process is carried out smoothly.
And no, keep going.
Hello?
Yeah, hi. You were about to say something.
Yes, I was about to say, as you know, our role in the electoral process is to ensure that elections are carried out smoothly, and that in each municipality that voters cast their votes in a safe environment. So we will act in support of the presiding officers, the elections officers on that day, who will be in charge of the conduct of the elections.
Okay.
Yes, yeah, that was actually going to be my question. I was going to ask about the police role and the police presence actually on the big day across the country. I imagine that you'll be around some of the polling stations just to ensure that everybody does adhere to all of the protocols, correct?
Right. Police officers will be working at the polling stations. They will present themselves to the respective presiding officers at the polling stations, which will open at 7 a.m. and close at 6 p.m. So we will be working at the polling stations to ensure that, as I said, the election process goes smoothly. The police officers will also regulate and control traffic in and around the polling stations and the counting stations. We will maintain the integrity of the 100 yards of the voting line, and generally to provide safety to the voters when they cast their votes at the polling stations. And as you mentioned, to ensure that the regulations, the quarantine regulations, are being adhered to during the election process.
So the major changes that we're looking at is an earlier curfew time, which is 8 p.m.
Right.
Okay. And the liquor ban, it's all day, because usually on election day, it's already till polls close.
Right. So, yes, as I said, from 6 p.m. on the 3rd of March to 5 a.m. the following morning, the person shall sell liquor during that time.
So I'm saying the 6 p.m. is kind of tagging on to what's already the election day liquor ban, right?
Yes, it is. So it's because no one is to sell liquor during the election process.
Yeah. And let's talk about the crowd control, because that's really where we saw most of the challenges in the last election. Whether it's at the polling station or after the results have been received. What's the new mandate to ensure that we don't see what happened the last time, the last election?
Well, what we have, what we were doing for the municipal elections is that we're having additional supervision in all the municipalities. We have senior officers from Belmopan who will be going to the different districts to ensure that the supervision on that day is enhanced. And we also have our operational units who will be out there patrolling to ensure that the regulations are being adhered to, that we don't have crowds in the area. But also we have we have amended that on the 3rd of March, no person shall loiter in any public place, congregate in partisan groups of more than 10 persons. So that will assist us also because we have that in the regulation that has been added for election day.
Let's break down what you mean by that loitering specifically, because that's a new aspect. The no group larger than 10 is what we're accustomed to, but what will be classified as loitering on election day?
Okay, so once the police advises you to move from an area and gives you warning, and they come back and they find you in still in that at the area, at the location, then the police will charge you for loitering in that area.
Right.
So if the police tells you to move because there's you standing there in that particular place, then you should move from the area instead of only standing there. So we won't allow people to to remain in one area for a prolonged period of time.
All right, and just to if we think back to the November general elections, when we're talking about congregating in an area, are we just talking about people perhaps standing up and talking, or does that also include people who are doing actual work on the day, or perhaps trying to being part of the machinery getting people to move, because as we know that process necessarily involves a lot of people in a particular area. So how will the police use their discretion, use their discretion in controlling the crowds and adhering to the protocols?
Well, what we did is before we put in our plan, before we had our plan, we had a meeting with the election and boundaries with the chief elections officer, where we were informed of the election process, what would be in place. So what they are trying to do is not to have more than 10 persons, from each political party, bringing persons to vote, so that these agents there won't be a lot of them congregating in the area beyond the 100 yards line. And we also had a meeting with the chief elections officer and the political parties where they were informed of this. And so we expect that they will adhere to this, that they will assist us in making the election process smooth by adhering to what was asked of them. Yeah. And also, as I said, the voters, once they finish voting, we'll ask them to move from the area so that we don't have a lot of people gathering in the area at any given time. So, as I said, we did meet with the election and boundaries, where they and the different political parties, where we were informed of the process, and we spoke and we asked them for their assistance on that day, so that we don't see the crowd congregating in the area.
So, when you talk about so you gave us some explanation for the loitering. One of the key things people will be looking at is, or that you want to consider, if the police has asked you to move from a location because they consider you loitering, that'll be a first warning. The second time, you will actually cite them for loitering. But what about the addition of soliciting votes from electors at or near a polling station? Give us some clarification as to what that means.
Okay. So if any person from any political party, any agent is or person involved that we see belongs to any political party who is out there who asks from the electors at or near the polling station for them to vote for a particular party, then that is considered to be soliciting and then considered to be an offense. So we will be dealing with those offenses if that offense we see it being committed.
All right. And just for clarity's sake, perhaps you can remind our viewers of some of the penalties for if you are in breach of some of these regulations.
Right. For the election process, we have several several offenses which can be committed. As you know, employers shall on polling day allow every voter in his employ a reasonable time during the prescribed period for voting to go and cast his or her vote. And if that is not done, then the employer commits an offense. And then we have several offenses committed that can be committed on polling day, which is organize, hold, or participate in any meeting, organize, lead, or participate in any procession of 5 or more persons, accost or solicit canvass votes from any elector, as we have spoken about, who has joined the lines or who is waiting to vote at the polling station. Bribery, where a person, either directly or indirectly by himself or by another person or on his behalf, gives, lends, or agrees to give or lend or offer, promise or procure, or endeavors to procure any money or valuable consideration to or for any vote, for or behalf of any person or on behalf of any voter. That is considered an offense. Every person, who gives a gift, a loan, offers, promises, procurement or agreement, procures or engages, or promises or endeavors to persuade the return of any person as an elected member of a council or the vote of any voter at any election. That is an offense that is committed. And they have several other offenses committed under the town council grant that persons can be charged on that day. Then we have the COVID regulations, which we will be looking at on that day, making sure that they are not the COVID-19 regulations are not being
followed. Superintendent Pook, why don't you tell us, as we start to wrap it up, what's your advice to the public as to knowing what they can and cannot do come election day?
Right. Well, as you know, the COVID regulations are in place. So the protocols for the voting procedure are that voters must wear their face masks on polling day and keep their social distance as much as possible when going to vote. That, as I said, that we don't congregate in front of the polling station as soon as you are the counting stations. As soon as you finish voting on election day, then you go home. You have Channel 5. You can look at Channel 5 if you want to see the procedure and the process of the election. And the other offenses which will be enforced on election day. So we ask the general public to adhere to the quarantine regulations, and to assist us in making sure that the voting process goes smoothly on municipal election day.
All right. Well, we thank you for doing this recap of some of the existing regulations and, of course, some of the new regulations that we're expected to abide by come election day.
Thank you for having me.
All right. Stay safe.
Okay. Okay, you too.
Bye-bye.
And there you had it. That was Superintendent Azanet Pook from the Belize Police Department that was just reminding you of some of the protocols that we all are going to have to adhere to tomorrow on election day, no matter where you are, whichever municipality you may be across the country. And of course, with that, we are going to be taking our final break and we are going to be having our wrap-up, so please stay tuned.
Technology is ubiquitous, and it's transforming how, when, and where we work. Fulltech Systems is placing award-winning devices in the hands of information workers, allowing them to work without compromise in a world without wires, to innovate, create, and to maximize productivity anytime, anywhere, satisfying the needs of the desk-centric remote and field worker and every other worker in between. We are providing the industry's best devices to businesses going through the process of digital transformation. Partner with us today to provide the solutions that will allow your employees to work effectively and efficiently to enhance your customers' experience. Fulltech Systems, your technology center, where you'll come for the price, but stay for the service.
As one of the largest cable and internet providers in Belize, CBC strives to provide our customers with the highest standards of quality, value, and service in all aspects of cable TV and internet. Monitoring our systems closely, our technicians combine creative planning and state-of-the-art technology with years of experience and training to develop and provide the most reliable and advanced cable and internet service to exceed your expectations. For CBC and our team of talented engineers, technicians, and customer service representatives, delivering less than the very best is never an option.
Currently, we're using Smart Elite VoIP calling plan. We use it inter-branch, we use it to call outside, and we also use it to call international. It's far cheaper than what we used to have before. Our equipment are new, PBX box is new. So the PBX is very good because I can call to my Sartaneja branch, I can call to my Kikaka branch, I can call to San Pedro branch, and there's no cost using the PBS. Actually right now, since we're in different locations, I can call main office from where I am at a no cost using the PBX system. I would recommend it, sure I would, especially the big enterprises who has a lot of employees. There's a lot of reduction in costs, 50% of saving. But that on a year, it's a lot of money that we're saving. Money that we could return to our members, since we give back dividend to our members.
Visit our showroom or call 670-6710 to find out how Smart's corporate plan and PBX systems can benefit your business. Consultation is free.
The virus that causes COVID-19 may be spreading in our community. People might have the disease even if they have no symptoms at all, even when they look healthy. Because the virus needs us to spread from one person to another, we can stop it from infecting others if we practice physical distancing. That means stay at least 6 feet away from other persons. Don't shake hands or exchange hugs. Do not gather in groups. Stay home if government officials tell you to do so. Use social media or telephone to communicate. Avoid crowded and enclosed spaces. Work from home if you can. Stay home if you are sick, except to get medical care. Avoid close contact with sick people. Don't visit anyone who's sick in quarantine or in isolation. Give them a call instead. Help keep Belize safe.
And if you're joining us now, we're just getting our show wrapped up. We had a bunch of great conversations this morning. Of course, we brought to you our final edition of our Meet the Mayoral Candidate segment, which we've been doing up until in the lead up to tomorrow's municipal elections.
All day coverage. So of course, once you wake up in the morning, you just turn on to Channel 5 and you're going to be able to get all the latest updates from our correspondents across the country. And our team is ready to be able to go out there and to keep you updated. Our in-studio panel will be with us, and of course, you know, you can expect with us quality programming, and yeah, it's going to be from 6 a.m. until we have those last results. A very long day, but we will be with you.
No, absolutely. And so we want to say a final thank you to our guests who came in this morning to share a bit about themselves and their views and their vision for Belize City. So we want to say thank you, first of all, to the United Democratic Party's candidate, Orson Picard, as well as the PUP's candidate, the incumbent Mayor Bernard Wagner. So they will be facing off in the polls tomorrow, as well as all of the others from the major municipalities across the countries. And as Marlene said, we will be giving you live coverage all day tomorrow.
That's right. And of course, you can also check us out on our social media streams. We'll have the updates there as well. But that's it for us this morning. You'll see us again on Thursday morning after the election with the latest results. Until then, if you'd like to contact us, send us an email at oye@channel5belize.com. You can also find us on Facebook at Open Your Eyes BZ.
And on Instagram at OIE Belize.
And remember to tune in tomorrow morning at 6 a.m. for our municipal elections coverage.
And we'll be back again on Thursday for Open Your Eyes.
We'll see you soon. Enjoy your day, Belize, and stay safe.
Go to the polls on March 3rd for municipal elections 2021. Channel 5 will bring you all-day live coverage from all 9 municipalities. Our nationwide correspondents and in-studio analysts will provide you with up-to-date reports and commentary from 6 a.m. until the last vote is counted and results declared. Municipal Elections 2021, Wednesday, March 3rd, live on Channel 5 and on our Facebook and YouTube pages.
Open Your Eyes was brought to you by the Belize Bank. Our country, your bank.